BlogTalk Radio.
Hello everyone, this is Chrism, and I'd like to welcome you to this conversation about your Kundalini awakening experience. I'd like to apologize for the last 2 weeks. We've had some technical difficulties, and plus I'm out of the country and I'm not using equipment that apparently is upgraded enough in order to work with our new system here. We're back to the old studio look, but the devices, the devices won't work. So far the Apple products do work, but the Apple products do not allow us to put in a chat room. So I'd like to apologize for everybody who would normally be in the chat room that we cannot provide a chat room. Neither Centaur or myself have the availability of a laptop, amazingly enough. We're both on Apple products, and so this, of course, isn't going to help us put together a chat room. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get started into this, and I'm going to ask you what part and what product of the ego are you working on in your life as you begin to experience the Kundalini? What is it with your practice? Is it with your interrelations with other people? Is it with your inner self? Is it with, all of these things? How are you coming to terms with the ego that is going to be constantly applying pressure to you to act in the same old way, to not allow yourself to embrace a greater reality, a greater understanding of the supreme physical force that's within you, that we all know as the Kundalini? How is the ego blocking you, and how are you allowing that ego to block you? Is it through pride? Is it through self-aggrandizement? What is happening with you and your practice, and how are you going to overcome these things? One of the first questions I would like you to ask yourself is, do you really want this to occur? Do you really want to take this step, and do you want to have this step take you? Which is what the Kundalini does. Kundalini is the step that takes you. And as it takes that step within you, then there is no turning back. Then your ego work has to be done. But before you've had that spinal sweep, before you've had the divine merging, to some degree, you still have the option to just turn away and say no. For those of you that have already had the spinal sweep and you've had the divine merging, well, you don't have that option. What are you going to do? How are you going to find the balance within yourself that allows for the greater expression to come through in a way that doesn't traumatize you? Let's not mess around here. Kundalini can traumatize people quite easily. It happens every day. Anybody that's having the Kundalini awakening around this planet, if they allow their ego to block it, if they allow themselves to resist the Kundalini, they're going to have a very, very, very traumatic experience with this. The Kundalini can be relentless, and she will not allow your ego to control the divine consciousness that's awakening within you. And you'll get slapped, and slapped hard sometimes. And so in order to help you embrace this process in a greater way, I want to talk to you today about the ego and how the ego can get in the way and how you can get around it, how you can begin to turn the ego into from the Huna standpoint, into an Unihipili, or somebody, a part of you that wants to be that higher middle self. Not talking about killing the ego. Not talking about getting rid of the ego. talking about retraining the ego, having the ego as on your team instead of against your team. Complacency is one of the keys. You will have a complacency of how things were in your life before the Kundalini came into it. Complacency about your job and maybe how much money you were making, or how good you were at a certain talent, a certain sport, a certain endeavor in your life at that time, and how you excelled so well with it. And all of a sudden, somebody's coming along and saying, hey, forget about that. Some inner being is coming along and saying, hey, this isn't so important anymore. And your ego's going to resist that. Because that ego based its whole premise of existence, its whole self-validation on that special skill that they were able to do, that sport or that job, whatever it was that the ego was really buying into. Well, now, it's against you because you're starting to embrace a process that is not allowing it to express itself in the ways that it feels complacent expressing itself. You need to keep the pressure on the ego. Okay, the ego is that inner 7-year-old. And for those of you that have kids, you don't let your 7-year-old tell you how to run the house, tell you how to treat the other children, tell you how to run your life. You don't let that 7-year-old child do these things. And for those of you that don't have kids, it's even harder for you because you don't have the physical example to follow. The kids teach adults as much as the adults are teaching the children. If you don't have that exterior child to learn from, you don't have that natural parenting skill that comes with disciplining that little kid. And some of you won't discipline that little kid at all, even if you have the exterior example. Okay, and that's going to make it even harder for you. Spare the rod, spoil the child, right? So the scenario is this: you need to keep the pressure on the ego. Let yourself, you, the uhane, the higher mental functioning self, let you begin to call these shots, regardless of what the ego thinks. And don't let entities or other discarnate forces amplify the fears or the dissatisfaction of the ego. This is also fairly common. This is a common scenario. People will get tapped into by another force, and that force is there to impede their process into the Kundalini. That is its job, is to impede. And by impeding that process, they're also stressing that person who is having the process. And as they stress that person who is having this process, they're also strengthening that person. So you either get strengthened by the corrosive elements of the ego, or you get strengthened by the embracing elements of the Kundalini within yourself. And you need to make that choice. Now, before we go any further, I'm going to invite Amelia Santara into the microphone room here. Hello, Amelia.
Hi, Chrism. Hi, I'm here.
Hi, is the sound coming through okay? I don't know if I'm just talking to a wall. Okay.
No, to me it's coming through really clear. I'm not hearing any echoes or vibrations or repeat. So, yeah, it sounds really good. We can assume it's the same for everybody, maybe?
I don't know. I mean, it's really hard to tell without that chat room up and going. But okay, I'm just checking in with you, and we'll just go ahead and continue.
Yeah, it sounds good, Chrism. So, yeah, just proceed, I think.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so taking her enthusiastic support, we will continue to proceed along this realm. Now, as the ego becomes, say, corrupted by exterior forces mixing with its own lack of complacency, its own fear of change, its own desire to not have to go into areas that it does not understand or has any reference for, as those corrosive elements come in, they can really chew away at a person's self-confidence in the Kundalini that they're having. It can really chew a hole into the experiences of phenomena that you may have had, or the experiences of positivity that you may have had. It's very important that you recognize this and you stop those corrosive elements from coming through. Now, if they're of an entity type of element, well, then you need to do some of those entity clearing practices that I've discussed in other programs. And one of those is to just take both of your hands and rub it over your crown. Not rub it, I mean go from the forehead all the way back, all the way over the crown, and do that about every 10 minutes or so. And see how that changes your thought pattern. See how that changes how you feel with what is occurring. And I've told this to many, many different people, and it's typically a very positive thing that happens to a person. And so I want to really invite you to do this for yourself. Now, I can't see the chat room, so I don't know how many people are listening on the computers or on telephones anywhere. And I want to say hello and welcome to you all. I want to say hello and welcome to you who are visiting in the archives, you future people. It's very important that you begin to do this ego work in a very Kundalini supportive way. Yes, ma'am. Hi, Santara.
I did nothing that spontaneously popped into the red there, Chrism.
Okay. Well,
my hands are away.
There we have it. We've got a ghost in the machine. I'll go ahead and let you put yourself in the blue there, my dear. Maybe, okay. So, yeah, you really want to look at the handles that the ego has and the handles that the entities may have on your ego and how it's shaping your destiny. Kundalini is such a special, special state of consciousness. It is a tragic loss every time somebody with Kundalini or somebody who's having a spinal sweep is sent into a psych ward and given all these drugs and given all these impedances to their process. It's a tragedy for the human race. It's a tragedy for this planet. It's a very, very, very traumatic and sad event for many, many, many of the creatures who survive on the divine vibrations that a Kundalini person can emit into the atmosphere, into the environment, and into the social structure of humanity. So it's very, very important for a person to begin to really align themselves with the awakening, no matter what it takes. Do not let the ego infuse your emotional body to the point where it makes you feel bad every time you feel like you're doing something with the Kundalini, or that it makes you feel like you're wasting time, or that you shouldn't be doing this. You should be doing something else. You should be out making a family, or you should be going to school, or you should get a job, or you should, go to the gym, or whatever it is that the ego is pushing you to do. Don't buy into it. Do not allow yourself to fall into the illusion that the ego and the entities that may be using the ego want to push at you. Very important that you do not fall into the illusion. Do not fall back into what the Sanskrit term is Maya. You don't want to fall into Maya. You want to keep your footing, keep your balance, go forward into the Kundalini. Go forward into your practice. If you're doing a physical practice, you're doing the 5 Tibetans, you're doing the alternate nostril breathing, you're doing the Siva, the service in your community, you're doing these things. Let that matter to you. Don't let it just course by you and let the ego demean it. Don't let your ego do these things. You, the higher mental functioning consciousness, you need to be in charge. Always in charge. Okay, you are the strong one. You are the smart one. You are the one that knows what is happening, and it is going fearlessly into this future state, bringing that future state into the present moment, bringing that Kundalini awakening into that present experience of your life. And I want you to stop wasting time. Stop, fighting with yourself about what is valid and what is invalid. Stop blaming other people. That's one thing what we'll do. We'll reach out into our family. We'll start blaming our spouse. We'll start blaming our kids. We'll start blaming the cat or the dog or the friend. You'll start blaming your teacher. It's all your teacher's fault. You'll start blaming anyone except sitting down and doing the work and doing it consistently and not buying into those fears. You need to go forward, and you need to put your nose to the grindstone and do those practices, whatever they may be for you. I know that a lot of you listening to this program, you are not my students. And I'm going to assume that some of you actually have a Kundalini practice that you're doing. And I know that some of you listening are my students, and I know that you have a Kundalini practice that you're doing. And so I really want to reach in to any of your practices. And I want you to support that practice at the expense of ego complacency. Find a way that the ego can support what you're doing. Find a handle that you can pull the ego up into, whether it's supporting you as a way of defending itself from being used by entities. So it will know. If you look into any of the ancient writings with regards to the ego, well, the ego, has a very, very important function in our life. Certainly our early life. It's part of our survival mechanism. So you help the ego express this by allowing it to help this Kundalini awakening equation within you survive. You find a handle that the ego can hold on to and help you with this process. Help you to merge into the divinity, because as the ego wants to become the higher mental functioning self. The higher mental functioning self wants to become the Kundalini awakened self. So there's a progression here, a progressive ladder that we're reaching into, that we're trying to solidify. And I want you to give your ego options, positive options, not always deflecting it, not always throwing it aside. But you do need to take charge. You do need to express the authority that you as a higher mental functioning self has. But that doesn't mean that you can't give the ego positive options. If you're inside of a competitive sport, if you know how to play baseball, basketball, maybe soccer or football of some sort, you can use that type of an analogy to help the ego support what you're doing. Don't fall into the trap of ego aggrandizement. I'm not saying that you do that. What I am suggesting is that you give the ego familiar reference points to help you with your practice, to help you merge with the divine, to help you be consistent and disciplined and thoroughly versed in what you need to do every single day. Every day. Because Kundalini is one of these things that you don't just do a sadhana twice a day, a practice twice a day, and then call it quits. For those of you that are Kundalini awakened, like Santara, it's something that happens to you 27 or 24/7. It's always there. It's always changing you. It's always present in your life, and so should your practice be. Always there in your life. Never a dull moment. Never are you thinking about, something else. Every 15 seconds, think about something that's Kundalini related. Do some service for another person. Look at how your nutrition is going. Who is buying the food? Is it you or is it the Kundalini? Is it your ego or is it the Kundalini? Who is buying your food? Who is picking it out? Are you exercising? Are you walking? Are you jogging? Are you playing? Are you meditating? Are you doing your practice? Are you doing all of these things that can help serve you and serve the Kundalini at the same time? This is a very, very important thing. It doesn't really matter where you live. Geography doesn't have that much to do with it. What really matters is the position that you are in your mind, in your heart. Okay, the mind-heart connection. Put your heart into having this Kundalini awaken. If you have a teacher, and if you're doing devotional work with that teacher, say a triad or something like that, then put your heart and mind into that teacher and listen to what that teacher's telling you to do. You don't want to keep reversing yourself if that's what you're doing, questioning the integrity of the practice that you're being given because you don't have familiar reference points for it. This happens a lot with people. They'll be given a direction from a teacher, and because they have no reference points for it, they become susceptible to the domination of exterior forces that want to corrupt that person's process. These exterior forces are all over the place. They're here in France. I'm talking with you from Besançon, France right now. And, there's plenty of negative exterior forces here. Gee, some of them are as old as the Romans who set up this town. Okay, so there's lots of the, shall we say, negative exterior forces to go around. Okay, you can get them there in Santa Rosa, California. You can get them here in Besançon, France, and you can get them in London, England, Los Angeles, California, New York City. Okay, they're not hard to find, the negative ones. Harder to find sometimes are the positive ones, the ones who don't want to interrupt your process, the ones who support you in your process. But they're not the ones that will reach out to you in this way. They're not the ones that will dominate a portion of your crown chakra in order to move an agenda. They want you to move that agenda. It is your agenda to move. It's your responsibility. It's part of what you must do to become into the first stages of the enlightenment zones. Kundalini is that. It's that door, it's the doorway, it's the key, and it's the steps, and it's pulling you towards it. But for those of you that are reaching for that spinal sweep, you need to push yourself into that vortex. You need to be strong enough and brave enough and courageous enough to take the step off the cliff and trust that God, that the divinity, that Kundalini has you. Will protect you, will help you, will help you take more than that one step off of the precipice. No fear, my friends, no fear. Fear is, once again, an ego trait. Okay, and so once again, those ego traits may be expanded and pushed at you. These are very difficult areas. Most of us have only lived from our ego all our lives. Okay, we learned how to be competitive so that we could survive in this world, in this society. And from that competition, if we were at all successful, when we considered ourselves a winner, we won. We've got this job, we're making this money, and it's all about money. Money's the most important thing. And so because you've got that money, well, therefore you're successful. And even though you may not feel great all the time because you're working 90 hours a week, but you got that money, you got that house, you got that car. Okay? And I'm suggesting that you go and you do it backwards. You don't pursue a competitive edge. There is no competitive edge that can edge out the Kundalini. All it does is form blockages and resistance. So you need to realign how you've been living your life, how you've been thinking about what it is to live a life. If you've reached a stage where you're able to really sit down and do a strong Kundalini awakening sadhana, Kundalini awakening practice, what a great gift that is for you. Don't waste it. Don't waste it on fear and uncertainty. Don't waste it by trying to always move towards complacency and self-pleasure and self-aggrandizement and all of these areas that just basically feed the ego, which is, once again, what we're used to doing. Change your modus operandi. Change how you do things. Change how you're thinking about this. If you belong to any online groups where you can actually read what an awakened person is having happen to them, or where you can read what it's about, you can see maybe a YouTube video about what's going on. Watch those videos, read those posts. Find that book that will help serve you in the Kundalini awakened format. Do not go back to your ego-based competition syndrome. Okay? You've heard of that phrase, the Kundalini syndrome, where a person, actually has the spinal sweep and they don't know what it is, and, they inject all that fear into the Kundalini, and the Kundalini amplifies that fear, and this person is just going into this downward spiral, straight into the psych ward or worse. Well, that won't happen to you, my friend. And you may ask yourself, well, Chrism, how do you know that won't happen to me? You don't even know me. You're talking to a computer screen. Yeah, I know it won't happen to you because you're listening to this program. You're feeling my voice in your body. You're feeling my Kundalini in my voice, in your body. That makes a huge difference because now you have information. You have information that is inside you through the Kundalini, and you have the information that is coming outside of you through my voice into your ear, into your brain. You don't have to have Kundalini syndrome. One of the real problems is the ego syndrome. The ego syndrome, which blocks that awakening experience, which blocks that amazing level of bliss and ecstasy that should be yours. You should be able to feel bliss and ecstasy once a day, every week, every month, every year. For as long as the Kundalini wants to give it to you, you should have that availability. And by that availability, you have to control the ego, and you have to control those competitive urges. You have to control that negative self-dialogue, that inner dialogue that you have about, oh my God, this Chrism guy, he is a nut. This guy is just a nut. He doesn't know anything what he's talking about. He's such a jerk. He's just misleading all these people. This is what your ego might say about what I'm saying. And you just need to put a stop to that. Start singing Mary Had a Little Lamb. Start singing your favorite rock tune. But stop the negative inner dialogue. Allow yourself the inner freedom to explore a non-competitive, divine experience for yourself. Do the practices. Make the sacrifices. Okay? Do the practices, make the sacrifices, do anything that you must do to solidify this practice within you and allow yourself to become awakened. Take the ego out of the continuum. Accept as a supportive element. The ego, once again, can be a supportive element. You just need to learn how to reference it in a way that she understands what she's doing for you, or he understands what he's doing for you. Let him be part of the game. Let him be part of the work and the experience of success as the spinal sweep takes control of all your bodies of expression. Let that occur. Don't do too much in one area. I would like you to look at, if you go to Kundalini Awakening Seminars.com and you go to I believe it's the third page of that website, and you'll see how it works. And I want you to look at, bring your cursor over the figure standing there, and then press the cursor over the chakras and look at what the chakras represent. It's a good idea to kind of remind yourself what these chakras are doing within you. That's a website that I wrote, and it dovetails quite nicely with the teachings that I'm giving to you. Look at what those chakras represent, and look to see how in your daily practice, how you're doing all 6 chakras. And I'm not talking so much about the 7th, but I am talking about 1 through 6. Have you taken care of the survival issues, the fear issues, the predator issues? Are you able to have shoes on your feet and a roof over your head? Do you have water? Do you have food? Are you taken care of with regards to the basic necessities of life? Good. Support that practice, like the first Tibetan, that will really accentuate, very, very much so, that first chakra. And then you look at the second chakra, and here you have the procreative urges, you have creativity, you have power generation. Second chakra is right there in the middle of that dantian, a huge amplifier of chi energy. Look at that, and how creative are you, and how much of your power do you accept within yourself, and how aggressive are you in honing that power and allowing that power to be generated and expanded. And then you add 1 and 2 together, and you let the first chakra affect the second chakra, which alternatively affects the first chakra. First chakra gets even more power. And you do that second Tibetan. So you got the first Tibetan, the second Tibetan, the third Tibetan. And the third chakra is all about your identity with the cosmos, the sacred male within you. How you feel about yourself. Are you shy? Are you strong? Are you outspoken? Are you an introvert? What levels of balance do you have within the third chakra? Okay? And so you go through all of the chakras. I won't go through each of them here on the program, but I want you to really look at the chakras. Have a good look at these chakras and look at the different ways during your day that you honor the expression of each of those chakras within your Kundalini practice. Now, the 5 Tibetans only go up to 5. But pranayama can take care of the 6th. Okay, and the eyes up position also nourish the 6th. And it also pulls Kundalini up. When you bring your eyes up, the Kundalini at the base of your spine will also start to move. And if you're doing a mantra, well, then say the mantra. Right after you do the alternate nostril breathing, or even in your mind as you're doing the pranayama or the alternate nostril breathing, say that mantra inside your mind. Let that motivate. Let that powervate. Sorry, making up the words here. Let that motivate a powerful infusion of energy within you as you mix the pranayama with the mantra that your teacher has given you. Really, really reach into that and let that powerfully motivate your practice. And by motivating that practice, once again, I'm talking about getting the ego behind you, getting it to support you, getting rid of these competitive doubts, these competitive negative issues, these entity-based judgments that aren't true, the lies that surround you and that you basically have taken for fact your entire life, that this is all just a bunch of horse manure and there's nothing to any of this, and you need to go out and be Donald Trump. Okay, you need to make all that money and get all those things and then run for president. Okay? Get some distance between yourself and those forces. And every time those forces step in to your process, you push them out again. And you're going to have to do this over and over and over and over and over and over. And they will be intrusive, and they will work hard to give yourself a negative self-worth. They will work hard to feed that negative inner dialogue, and you just really need to be resolute in your decision to not allow that to happen. This is part of the price you pay for semi-divinity, my friend. This is part of the price you pay for being a living human god or goddess on this world. Divinity isn't really interested in exalting somebody's ego. It's not really interested in obeying all the rules of the road that the ego has set up. It isn't really interested in obeying somebody's culture because it's a culture of fear or wrapping itself around a fear-based rule of law or a fear-based expectation of societal productivity. Kundalini doesn't really care about those things. It cares about your ethics. It cares about your morality within those things. But it doesn't care about you wrapping yourself up in that culture or that religion or that technique or that belief system. It wants you. It wants you naked and pure, just the way you were born. It wants you that way. Give yourself that way into this process. Part of your job, part of what you must do is to control that ego. Get that ego out of the blocking way. Get it out. Okay? Once again, look at how it infuses itself into your emotional body. We'll go through the bodies and how it infuses into the emotional body. Makes you feel happy when you win. Makes you feel sad when you lose. Makes you feel like you want to buy that candy bar or that dessert. Makes you want to only do things that give it pleasure, that give the mouth pleasure, the tongue pleasure, the body pleasure. Wants you to have sex all the time so that you can have that pleasure too. Wants you to look good because that feeds our vanity. It wants you to be smart because that feeds our pride. Wants us to be successful because that also feeds our pride. It knows that you can do a good job, so it just wants you to go out and get work because it knows that will also feed the pride and feed the vanity. Okay, it wants you to be angry. The entities certainly would want you to be angry. And when they get their hands on the ego, they'll turn that little person against you. Try to make you angry. Try to make you afraid to move forward. And you must conquer your fear. I cannot do that for you. Even if I could, I wouldn't, because it wouldn't be fair to you. You really need to work on these issues. They're not going to go away. And one thing is this, is Kundalini has all the time. It has eternity. But you don't. Your time on this planet is somewhat limited, typically about 100 years. If you're lucky, 100 years to bring divinity into this plane of existence, to begin to make a positive, amazing change on the multiple environments of this world, the human environments, the natural environments. Even the weather patterns can be changed by Kundalini, by divinity. The paths of humanity can be changed by divinity. The whole nuclear threat can be changed just by a divine whim. that can be changed. The way we treat each other, the way we treat our fellow creatures. Right now we're slaughtering them. Just as a rite of passage into adulthood, we slaughter thousands of beautiful dolphins, cetaceans. We're wiping out the fish stocks of the ocean. We're wiping out the butterflies of the land through the pesticides and the use of fungicides and herbicides. Nicotine-based herbicides are killing the bees. We need Kundalini awakened people on this world now. And with the internet and with, various things that Amelia Centaur is doing and Eileen is doing and other people are doing, I know people are putting themselves out there, trying to make a positive change in this world. And I want to ask you, those of you who are still rocking back on their heels in an egoic pose of superficial strength and self-aggrandizement, I want to ask you, why are you here? Why are you here? Are you here to get in the way of Kundalini people? Are you here to become one with divinity, one with grace, one with God? Why are you here? And if you're here to get in the way, then you're doing a great job. But if you're here to form a divine union, to effect some positive change, not only in yourself, but outside of yourself, and I want you to get to work. Do those things you have to do. And it's not like it stops after you have the spinal sweep. Once you have that divine union, you just happen to, so much more. You have so much more information. It allows you to see the magnitude of the gift that Kundalini is. And that really, really helps you do the work that you as a god and a goddess in a human body are here to do, to help the populations come into a greater alignment with their own love, their own heart, their own divine possibilities. Let that Kundalini step take you. Let it take you. Do not shirk. Do not run. Do not hide behind fear. Do not hide behind, this isn't real. Oh my gosh, what are you talking about? Oh my gosh, I need to go back and make $1 million. This is just, forget this. And if that's what you need to do, if you just want to go back and make that money, well then go. Go. See how fulfilling that is for you. Kundalini can wait. There'll be another lifetime for you. But for some of us, we don't feel like there is any time to waste. We know that we have been called. We've been called since we were kids. We've been called by miraculous events in our lives. We've been called by people that have come into our lives and taught us about spirituality, that have taught us about the possibilities of the human condition. We've gone through our lives and we've been shown these things, and they add up, my friends. They add up until we have a bank account of information that surpasses the mundane information that the schools teach us, that science denies us. Okay, it surpasses those qualities. And we must have the divine union. And for this, I am talking with you folks right now. I'm not talking with the folks that are they're still sitting on the fence, going, well, should I do the Kundalini, or maybe I should get a job at the car wash? What is it I'm going to do? I don't know. I'm not talking to those folks. They're going to have to make up their mind one way or the other. I'm talking to the folks who who have had, even before the spinal sleep, these tremendous miracles happen to them. These tremendous phenomena occur to them. I'm talking about the people that have been having the wild dreams, the OBE, out-of-body experiences, the astral travel. I'm talking to the people that have been visited by spiritual dimension. I'm talking to the people that have been drawn by an inexorable force towards these teachings. Yes, Santara, hello?
Hi, that was me, Chrism. There's noise coming across.
It's probably the chair.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it sounds like rubbing or something.
Yeah. Well, you know. Yeah.
I know, but it's loud.
Well, now that you're here, do you have any announcements you'd like to make, Santara?
I will, Chrism, thank you. Okay, so let me begin with the announcement of where you can go to if you would like to make a donation to support the work that Chrism does to support Kundalini Awakening Systems. You can go to I'm going to put Chrism in the blue there, 1 second. Whoa! Okay, pushing you in the blue, Chrism. 1 second now. Okay, so let me begin again. So, for those of you who would like to support the work that Chrism does and to support Kundalini Awakening Systems, you can go to www.ascension-kundalini.blogspot.com, and in the upper right-hand corner, you will find the donate button. And as I say every week, it's really, really easy to donate once you've reached that point on the webpage. We actually have another place you can donate, and it has a slightly easier address. It's chrism-kundalini.blogspot.com, and that is a blogspot that Chrism has had for a while, and the donate button also works there. So you might find that an easier one to remember. The donate button works in the same way as the other one does. As we say every week, there's no pressure on anybody to donate or to make a donation. But if you are in a position to do that, and if you want to do that, all donations are gratefully received, and they do make a difference. So thank you, everybody who has donated in the past and those of you who will be doing so in the future. I suppose I would like to also make the announcement that Chrism is going to London this weekend. He's going to be speaking at the Conference for Consciousness and Human Evolution, and that is happening Friday, Saturday and Sunday in London. Chrism is going to be speaking on the Saturday the 29th, and that's very exciting. I'm very much looking forward to being there myself and to meeting other people from our Facebook groups. I know that I'll be meeting with Manisha. She's going to be there. Hi, Manisha. You might be there in the chat room. I can't see. But there are other people as well, Hannah and other people that are going to be there. So if you're listening to this and you're in a position to get to London this coming weekend, we will be delighted to meet you there. And it's a wonderful opportunity to hear Chrism speak. You can hear him here on the radio. You can feel it in your ears, and you can feel the truth of what he is saying. But to meet him in person is another thing entirely, and it is a real gift of grace if you can get yourself to London this weekend. I'd really encourage you to do so. I know that Rosemary isn't online. Chrism, are you there? Hi, Chrism.
Hello, I'm back. Yes.
Yeah. I know that Rosemary isn't online today. She's doing a talk this evening.
Yes, correct.
So, will I go ahead and make those announcements?
Sure, go ahead. Do you know? Yeah. Do you have the information? Go ahead then. Go ahead.
Yeah. Or we can call Eileen, actually. She's on the phone. 1 second, and I'll bring her on. Hi, Eileen.
Hi, Santara.
Hi, can you make the announcements?
Yes, I can. On November 7th and 8th in Minneapolis, Chrism and Rosemary and other Kundalini people will be at the Minneapolis Holistic Expo. They're at booth number 38, and this is being held at the Earl Brown Heritage Center. So that's November 7th and 8th. And then the following week, during that week, Chrism will be giving talks throughout the Twin Cities. This is in Minnesota. And then on November 14th and 15th, there is a seminar in Eagan, Minnesota, where we have held the last two in Minneapolis, Twin City area. And again, it'll be an opportunity to meet Chrism. He gives his seminar information, and Shaktipat is offered, and that's about it. Oh, you can contact, just a minute, I guess I should give you the information. You can contact Rosemary at rosemaryg@usinternet.com. That's rosemaryg@usinternet.com. Her number is 651-329-9615, and that's a U.S. number, 651-329-9615. And hope to see some of you there. Thank you.
Thanks, Eileen. Okay, Chrism, those are the announcements for today.
And thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Thank you, Eileen. Thank you, Santara. And we will continue. All right, and I want to thank Santara for mentioning the noise in my chair. I've got these headphones on and I just can't hear it. So I've switched chairs, as you may have heard me do, and I'm in a kind of like an upright church pew-like metal chair. Hopefully it won't be as noisy. Santara, feel free to come on, though, and let me know if you hear a lot of noise coming from this chair. I tend not to sit still when I'm doing these programs. I tend to move around. My body wants to move as I speak, and sometimes I do the side to side, or I get that circular movement going with my spine. And so I just want to let you know that Shakti Kundalini is alive and well and coming through these broadcasts. All right, I want to get right back into this now. I know that some of you, you've been doing your practice, and you've been working hard, but you start feeling things to taper off a little bit, and it's just like, well, okay, I missed the 5 Tibetans that time, and well, okay, I can do better, and then a week will go by, and you'll do it well, and then you'll just miss it again, and maybe you'll miss another one because wow, you have that hot date, or you just don't, maybe you're just feeling too tired. You've had a long day, and maybe it's just too hot outside. You don't feel like doing anything. You don't feel like walking the dog. You don't feel like washing the car. You don't feel like, working in the garden. You don't feel like doing your service to other people. It's just so hot. You just want to say, forget it. Okay? And you start nicking away at your sadhana, at your practice. You start nicking away at it to the point where you become very, very, very spotty with it. This I want you to avoid. You do not want that slow declination into nothing. Okay? Find your strength. Find your discipline. Find the reason why you even started doing the practice in the first place. Find the reason why you made the sacrifices that you've been making. And use that information to support your practice, to support the validation of what it is you're doing. Forget about the negative things. Forget about the hot day. Forget about the boss that's giving you, a hard day at work. Forget about the boyfriend or the girlfriend or this lover or that lover. Forget about those things and do your practice. Make that your lover. Make that your highest priority. Everything else is anybody can do it. It's mundane. You can have your lover. You can have your bitching out with the boss. You can walk the dog. You can wash the car. You can work in the garden. You can do those things. Just don't let them get in the way of your practice, because that practice is a sacred event that you enter into every day. It's a church that is composed of your intentions and the fruition of those intentions. It's your cathedral that you're building to your Kundalini. And until you reach a certain stage within the building of that Kundalini cathedral, it's not going to inhabit that space. You have to build it. You have to continuously sacrifice your time, your desires, your wishes for self-pleasure, for self-validation, for all the things of the ego. Got to sacrifice those things continuously. Take it as far as you can every day. Push the limits. If you have a teacher, then the teacher will go, okay, hey, okay, you're doing great. You're doing great. Now I want you to back off of a certain thing. For instance, if you're doing, a certain type of devotion or a certain type of pranayama every day, and you're doing it great, and you're getting all of this phenomena, and maybe you're getting a little bit out of balance with it. Well, then your teacher's going to go, okay, I want you to back off of that pranayama a little bit. Back off of that. Instead of doing it all day, maybe just do an hour, maybe 2 hours. And I want you to find your grounding within. If you have that kind of instruction, take that instruction seriously. These people know what they're talking about. They've walked it before you. Do have a level of confidence in your practice that allows you to have a certain level of inner leadership. Fill your day. If you are in a position, and I know some of you are, you're in a position where you can do your practice literally 24/7, literally 24/7. Some of you, how cool is that? Do it. Fill your day with it. Fill your night with it. Let it be the most important thing. Keep the negative thoughts away. Push them away. Don't allow them to infect your Kundalini cathedral with weak building blocks, because the Kundalini will know that you're filling it. You're building that cathedral with material that is substandard. Kundalini's not stupid. It's watching you, gauging you, and in many ways it's helping you, driving you, giving you just enough, but not giving you everything so that you can work for it. You can earn this enlightenment rather than just having it drop on your head like many of you would want. But you wouldn't appreciate it as much, I guarantee you. For those of you that are already within the Kundalini continuum, you really need to practice your sadhana too. Really get into it. You might find yourself having, a huge amount of phenomena. And you need to look at how is it you're engaging that phenomena. Are you chasing the phenomena? Are you doing something so strong and so hard and so fast and so furious that you're getting this level of phenomena that kind of gives you a signpost that's like, oh, yay, look, I've made it to this stage. Oh, yay. Now I need to go even further. And you're basically using phenomena as a way of building that Kundalini cathedral. And it's really not about phenomena. It's not about doing something so much, so often, so deep, so continuous that it throws you out of balance with the rest of your life with the rest of the many other qualities that the Kundalini represents. Don't want to do that. Okay? You don't want to be so attached to being right all the time. Certainly not about your Kundalini process, because you really don't have any reference points for your process. You know, this is all new. This is all undiscovered country for you. Even those that have had the spinal sweep, although with the spinal sweep, I have to admit, I mean, you're given a lot more information. For those of you that are working towards a spinal sweep, you know, you will be given a lot more information. Let me bring Centaur on here. Any noises coming from my chair?
No, Chrism, and it was only for a very short while, but I was loath to interrupt you.
No, I appreciate it. Do you have anything that you'd like to tell the people with regards to their sadhana or their practice?
I don't really, Chrism, I don't at this moment.
That's quite all right. I'm going to put you in the blue, my dear. All right, yeah. So as a person explores the parameters that they have, as a higher mental functioning self, have set up for themselves, don't be afraid to push it a little bit, but don't push it so far that it becomes dangerous to you. If you have a teacher, talk to your teacher about it. And really talk to that man or that woman. Really, you know, let them know that, you know, you're concerned about this, something that you want to talk about. Even if it's something, or even especially if it's something that a person has experienced before, that they may not see it as, you know, a big deal, but it may be a big deal to you. So definitely let them know. If you're having excessive episodes of negative influence, you know, this is an important thing. This is an important thing to really nip it and get it out of your system. If you're questioning why you're even here doing any of this stuff, okay, you need to go back to your life and look at your life and see what Kundalini arithmetic has led you up to even doing a Kundalini practice in the first place. You know, what trials and tribulations have you had to go through that brought you here? Look at what your options are. Typically, a person in a Kundalini practice, you know, they're being stripped of options. Their options are being taken away from them because the Kundalini wants them to focus on itself. That's it. There's nothing else. You know, I tried to tell you earlier in the program how big a deal this is. You know, how big a deal it is to have Kundalini, how it can affect change on the environment, how it affects change in the cosmos. This is a huge thing, and I know that as you're sitting there listening to me and kind of shaking your head and kind of going, wow, well, he sure talks a pretty good game, but I don't feel what he's feeling, and so how should I trust him? Don't trust me. Don't trust me at all. But trust the Kundalini. Trust your Kundalini that's allowing you to listen to this information. Use that as part of your backbone that allows you to further yourself into this process without fear, without excessive negativity. Use that understanding as a way to get you into your practice every day, no matter what, rain or shine, night or day. You do that practice. You do that devotion. You do those exercises. You do those breathings. You do that seva, that service. You do those safeties. And you do them day after day after day after day, and you feel the Kundalini respond, because she'll come to you. Some of you, you know, are quite adept even before you have a spinal sweep. You know, your Kundalini will communicate to others through you. I've seen it happen. Use that as a validation for doing this work. Feel what you felt when you're doing those videos. Feel what you felt when you wrote out those Kundalini verses or those lines of information or those understandings. Feel that and remember that and use that as a way to guide yourself. Guide yourself through the fear and the disillusionment and the negative expectations and the hurt and all of the different travails that you have had to go through to get to the point where you can even do a practice like this, where you can even have this sacred information to do a practice like this. And listen to my voice on this radio program. Feel my Kundalini coming into your ears, into your mind, into your spine. Feel it excite the Kundalini within you and allow that to occur. You're hearing what I'm saying. You know there's nothing of a caustic or hurtful nature to what I'm saying to you. The worst thing that could happen to a person practicing the safeties is they become a better person in society. That is the worst thing that can happen. Okay? Look at what you're doing and why you're doing it. What kind of instant gratification do you have expectation of? What level of instant enlightenment might you be chasing? Is it phenomena? Is it something that, you want to leap tall buildings in a single bound and stop a speeding bullet with your hand? Is that what it takes to get you to believe in what is happening here? What does it take to get you to believe in what you're doing, in the practice that you're doing? What level of fear must you not buy into in order to keep your practice strong? This is on you, folks. This is on you. It's not on your teacher. It's not on God. It's on you. And you have to make your difference in your Kundalini awakening. Personal responsibility. Personal responsibility. Take that personal responsibility and let it drive you forward. Just listen for a moment here. Just listen for a moment. I have to be a little soft because I'm in this apartment complex and the walls are kind of thin. I'm doing the Om because I want that Kundalini in me to help that Kundalini in you, to help that soul that you are. Give yourself into your Kundalini. Give yourself into your devotion. Give yourself into your practice. Give yourself into the service that you give other people. Give yourself into the service that you give in the environment, that you give God. And ultimately that you give yourself. I can't really, I'd love to do the louder alms, but these are about as loud as I can get here in these walls. As Amelia mentioned, I'll be traveling to England tomorrow, and we'll be doing the show from one of the hotels that we'll be staying in next week. And so I would like to invite all of you to come and listen to the show. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that there are no people in the chat room because the chat room has not been created. And I've been having a real difficult time with my Toshiba trying to get that little laptop to work in the new BlogTalk scenario. But, we have these Apple products, and these Apple products at least get us into the studio. So I'm very grateful for that. I'm also very grateful for all of you taking the time out of your day to listen to this radio program. I would like to thank Amelia Centara, and her husband John, and Eileen, who's calling in on the phone. And I see Brooke is called in on the phone. Hello, Brooke. I'd like to thank Magdalene de Deus, as I'm broadcasting from her flat here in Besançon, And I'd like to thank all of you who are listening on your computers or on your phones, and especially to those of you listening in the archives. I think that using my old iPad here, thank God for this little thing. I think that we can we'll be safe to be able to do the show next week, and it'll be interesting because I'll be there in person with Amelia and with Magdalene de Deus, and we'll be broadcasting from one of the hotels that the organizer has set up for us. And I would like to see as many Kundalini people that are related with Kundalini awakening systems, or just anybody out of curiosity who'd like to meet. I know there's plenty of you in the UK, and hopefully some of you are listening right now. And feel free to come down to London and go online and look at where it's being held. And I'd love to see you here. I'm going to bring Amelia back online here on the red phone. Hello, Amelia.
Yes, Chrism.
So I'm about ready to end this program because it's getting pretty late here, and I don't want to keep people up. Do you have anything you'd like to say?
Well, I'm going to just give the website for the conference because I didn't give it out a while ago. It's www.tcehe.org. And just Google the Conference for Consciousness and Human Evolution London, and you'll get the website as well. So looking forward to meeting you tomorrow and to the weekend and to meeting other Kundalini people. And we'll speak to you all again same time next week, next Wednesday. Thank you, Chrism. Good night from here.
All right. Don't end it yet, my dear. Don't push that button yet. I have more things I want to say. It would be very nice to see you in London tomorrow, or actually, after the conference or during the conference or at the workshop. We're doing a workshop a week after the conference on September 5th. And there might be another workshop on September 4th. I know that the director of the conference is working on that, and he mentioned that to me. There will also be a talk given by Greg Braden, if you're a fan of Greg Braden, and he will be there as well. He'll be speaking on the same day I'm speaking. And let's see how many of us Kundalini people can get together, and it's really nice to meet other Kundalini people. It's such a small portion of the population that actually have it at all and actually survived it, without teaching and without, the introduction of pharmaceuticals into their system. So, would like to see you all there. And many thanks to Brooke and Eileen and Centara and Magdalene and everybody who's listening. We will see you next week. Bye-bye, everyone.